marks the 20th day of what has been a completely unnecessary, incredibly harmful, and politically motivated shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security, an agency whose core mission is to protect our citizens from terrorism, from crime, from cyber risk, and from natural disasters. The question is, why are we here? Why is the entire government not open? We find ourselves at this moment because my colleagues on the other side of the aisle oppose our efforts to clean up the immigration crisis that they created. This is purely about politics, not policy. At a moment when global tensions are high, and President Trump is rightly carrying out a strategic operation in the Middle East to make America more secure, it is more important than ever to ensure that the agency tasked with defending our homeland remains fully funded and fully operational without delay. The situation in Iran has direct ties to the security of our southern border. Think about it. More than 1,500 Iranian nationals were detained trying to enter this country illegally under President Biden. And you know what? The Biden-Harris administration released about 50% of those individuals into our homeland. Many of them with suspected ties to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, also known as the IRGC. If you think about this, the open border policies of the Biden-Harris administration brought these 1,500 Iranian nationals, 750 of them, released into the interior of our homeland. Those are the ones that we know that were apprehended. We don't even know how many people from Iran or other countries that have our worst interests at heart invaded during the time that our border was collapsed under President Biden. There's a non-zero chance, clearly, that the feckless open border policies of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle let people in who want to do harm to America. We shouldn't sit back and just wait for something to happen. We, as United States senators, should lock arm in arm and fund the hundreds of thousands of dedicated men and women who fight every single day to keep our homeland safe. From our Coast Guard and TSA officers to cybersecurity officers and natural disaster first responders, these selfless Americans continue to show up for work, to protect our country, and carry out their duties, all while not knowing when their next paycheck will arrive. They're doing their jobs, and it's more than past time for Congress to do ours. The legislation before us today is not new. It's the very same bipartisan agreement that this body negotiated and agreed upon just weeks ago. Yet, for the second time in 6 months, Democrats have chosen to obstruct necessary federal funding rather than to negotiate in good faith. Therefore, I've got to ask my colleagues, what exactly are we waiting for? Are we waiting for our adversaries to exploit this inaction? Are we waiting for the next natural disaster to strike a vulnerable community? Are we waiting for a violent extremist attack to occur? The American people are paying attention. The American people understand what's at stake. Supporting this bill means funding the security of our airports, strengthening our borders, defending our critical infrastructure, and ensuring that our nation is prepared to respond to natural disasters the moment that they occur. Weakening those capabilities, especially during a time of heightened global tension, is beyond unacceptable. It's irresponsible. Instead of allowing politics to undermine our national security, we should strengthen the very institutions that keep Americans safe. Ensuring the Department of Homeland Security has the resources it needs to properly function should be one of the most basic duties that we have as members of Congress serving this nation. By voting in favor of this legislation today, we have the opportunity to lock arms as leaders and to do the right thing. And that's why I would strongly encourage all of my colleagues to support this bill without delay. Let's do what's right for the citizens and take care of this great nation right here at home. Mr. President, I yield back.